going on, everybody? We're back, 2026. Springtime here. The lakes just thawed up last week. We're spring fishing here. We're going for some crappies. Hopefully they're chewing. Got some new stuff going on this year, so you are going to see videos like this as often as we can. We're aiming for a weekly basis again like we did last year. But we're also throwing in a new series of video called the To Be a Guide series. A little bit more talking rather than just fishing footage, but there's gonna be tons of tips in these videos. These are videos where I'm gonna go in depth of my, my thought process behind what lakes I'm going to, decisions I'm making, techniques I'm using. We got a new Garmin installed here, so we're back to side scanning. Literally all the water I used last year was water I had found before. I fished hardly any new stuff. Finding new spots this year, and we're gonna definitely incorporate that into our videos here where we're showing you how we find some of these areas, what we look for, how we read those maps, and how we end up finding some of these areas that we catch fish in. Got Griff behind the camera. Griff, say hi.
Welcome back, guys. And excited to catch some fish.
Excited to catch some fish, that's right, let's go. First fish of the day is a little out of season largemouth, which if you've watched any of our crappie content before, you'll hear me say all the time that catching these little guys is very common when you're crappie fishing. We're just using little float setups today. We got 8-pound braid on these 1,000 size reels connected to a 6-pound leader with a float, split shot there, little crappie tube head. Right now I'm using a little Kitech Easy Shiner. Haven't found the target species yet. We think we've seen them, but need to get one in the boat here. Got one. Nice. Crap. Is it? Nice work. All right.
That's a decent one.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not a giant. Oh, just broke me off. That's good. First one of the year, here's to many more. So when we're talking about baits for crappies, like any fisherman, I have a huge collection of different stuff, all different colors, but I find that I really kind of gravitate to 3 different ones. Lake Fork Magic Shad. I've talked a lot about these over the years. What makes them so cool, yes, they're just a little minnow profile bait. It's got, a couple little segmented parts to make up the body, good little action, but it's got a little bit of a fatter body than your typical swim bait, so it mimics those juvenile bluegill, mimics those little crappie perfectly. And a lot of the times these fish, the bluegills, are in this area too. The crappies are eating those tiny little bluegills. So that one has been a staple for years. Other baits that we've been using today and that have worked well the last few years are the little 2-inch Easy Shiners that I was talking about before. Flat-sided swim bait. They suck because they're super soft, but they get bit on days when other things won't. Other bait that I've been throwing is the Hide Up Quake shrimp, the mini, the tiny little one. Today the Easy Shiner's been key. But between those 3 baits, that's what we're doing for lure-wise when we're throwing for these crappies. You're looking for the slightest bit of float movement. Crappie's mouth is kind of cupped upwards, so what happens is these crappies will come up and they'll hit your bait and kind of push it up a bit, and that always doesn't drop your float, especially if they're not grabbing your bait and swimming away with it. So that first one I caught, my float just twitched the tiniest bit. Sometimes you're gonna swing and miss, but you can get some of those light bites. There's another one. Easy Shiner is the perfect cold water bait. It's a flat-sided swim bait which has a tight wobble, which is so important in these, cold water temps, 50 degrees, stuff like that. All right, send that guy home. Nice. Another thing that I like when I'm crappie fishing is, you know, a lot of the rods that you'll see at the stores, you'll see rods that are meant more for crappies, but there's a lot of rods there that are just meant for kind of pan fishing, you know, catching little sunfish and stuff off the dock. The crappie rods are going to be those ones, you know, that are a little bit longer so that you can cast these baits and these light float setups further. And on top of that, with that little bit of length, I find that they're a little bit more sensitive than when you get something that's, you know, 6 foot, even 6'6". All these rods that we're using on the boat, they're 7 foot to 7'2" ultralights. Shimano Sensolites, we got them paired up with Sedonas. Nice. Spring pan fishing time. Sucks when you're not on them, but when you get on them, it's a lot of fun.
First decent one for me there. So I'm just fishing a little scuffed minnow under a float, same sort of thing as Bobby. It's a lot like the Easy Shiner. They're eating it too.
Shaking minnows, catching crappies.
Oh, that looks like a good one. Nice, buddy.
That is a nice crappie. I just switched to a chartreuse. You know, a lot of the times color makes a big difference with panfish. We just went from a natural to a chartreuse and first cast out. That's
awesome,
our biggest
dude.
of the day. Might be a picture worthy one, eh?
I think so. Get me one of those chartreuse.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here, hold them still for a second.
Hey, there we go. Check that out, guys.
Perfect. In the mouth?
In the mouth. Little Easy Shiner.
So the other thing that's been super important today is, you know, at the beginning of your crappie rig here, you got a little bobber stop on the line. And that bobber stop is so important. It dictates so much. We've been sliding it up and down all day, depending on if the crappies are up on the shallow, you know, 4 or 5 foot, or if they come out and they're sitting in 7, 8, 9 feet of water. Constantly have to adjust, and it makes a huge difference. You'll notice you'll be casting and all of a sudden it gets dead, and you check your bobber stop and your bobber stop's either too high or too low. You adjust it, cast back out, get bit right away. So that's one thing, that when you're crappie fishing and you have a float set up like this, every cast you're paying attention to where your bobber stop is, because if it's not in the right spot, it's not going to work out for you. So constantly adjusting it. Crappies are constantly moving today. They're moving from deep to shallow, deep to shallow. They're not all concentrated on one spot.
And they don't want to move far from the bait either, so we got to keep shifting it up and trying to get it in their face.
That's right. That's why you gotta have your bobber stop set right. So important. Griff with another one. Been switching between the 3 baits that I discussed earlier in the video, and the one that seems to be the most productive is the Kitech, just like last year. So
Still pulling them out, slowly but surely.
yeah, it's definitely slowed down while it's gotten hotter and we've lost that bit of wind, but the fish are still there, and if you're patient enough, slow enough, you can coax them into biting still.
And another one.
A lot of people think with the panfish, it's just as easy as throwing a float out and watching a float. On days when the bite's tough like it is today, you know, I'm throwing this little swim bait. Let's get him back quick. I'm throwing this little swim bait, and I'm working it the same way I would work it if I was bass fishing or whatnot. I'm throwing it out there, I'm letting it fall down so that the float sits properly, but then I'm slowly swimming it back to the boat. So that swim bait's swimming up, and then I'm letting it fall back down so that the float is set. And I'm doing this yo-yo motion all the way through the zone that I'm fishing. And I'm just slowly working that bait through the area, so it's not just sitting there still. It's actually being worked. It's being, you know, trying to entice one of these fish. Another one on the easy shiner. We gotta think it's a good name for this episode. Cruising Crappies, because they're cruising all over the place. And we're having to chase them. Cruising Crappies.
That works.
Big or small, easy shiner.
Catch them all.
Half an hour-ish left in the day here. Catch a few more. All right, just wrapping up the day here. It was a pretty fun day for the first time smashing some crappies. The ice literally just got off this lake like 2 days ago, so should only get better from here. I only got one big one today, and the other boats around us didn't get anything bigger than what we got, so we are just at the beginning now. So lots more to come. Let's have a look at that fish. And our big one of the day on the easy shiner. Gotta love big old Kawartha crappies like that. Springtime, fish are chewing. Let's put this guy back quick. Bash that subscribe button, hit like if you enjoyed it. Follow us on social media, 2b_fishing, Griffin Work Fishing. Bookings coming in for everything, so get your bookings in, 2bfishing.ca. Stay tuned for more videos, guys.
Lots more on the way.
It's just the start. Like I said, we got that new series coming out, 2B a Guide series. Those will be dropping soon as well. And get ready for 2026. Till next time, folks.